WWE 2K19 is what many consider to be the best WWE game in the WWE 2K series. And you know what? I agree. 2K19 has always been one of my favorite WWE games, and when you look at what all this game had to offer, it's not hard to see why. 2K19 felt like a culmination of all the previous WWE 2K games at the time, while also adding in new things to make the game feel even bigger. When I say this game was something special, I really mean it. First of all, we had AJ Styles in the cover, which, might I add, is one of the best looking WWE 2K game covers next to 2K16. Secondly, the MyCareer in this game was a lot of fun to play, and third, this game just had so many modes and fun little gameplay elements that we haven't seen appear in any of the games that followed this. So in this video, I wanted to talk about all of those things and find out what exactly made 2K19 so phenomenal. Released in October of 2018, WWE 2K19 was the follow-up to one of the more mediocre WWE games of the past decade, WWE 2K18. 2K18 is a video for another day, but the point I'm trying to make is that 2K18 didn't have a lot to offer. It lacked a lot of game modes. The gameplay, while improved in some ways compared to the games that came before it, still wasn't all that great. However, with that game, you could see that 2K was starting to go in the right direction, and with 2K19, it felt like they reached that final destination. 2K19 was the absolute peak for the 2K series. Those initial trailers hyped this game up like it was the end-all be-all of wrestling games, not to mention the $1 million tournament that was held to promote the game. The tournament was kinda lame since the guy who won it worked for WWE to begin with, and the whole thing turned out to be rigged. Enough about the backstory of 2K19 though, let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay of WWE 2K19 is what I would call perfection. Okay, maybe that's slightly over-exaggerated. Obviously, it's not 100% perfect. There are issues here and there, but they're not anything that I would say gets in the way of the fun you can have playing this game. The big thing I love about 2K19's gameplay is just how fast and fluid it feels. When you play this game, you never have to worry about any form of slowdown because matches always keep moving. This was the game where 2K finally realized that not everyone is a fan of the simulation-based gameplay from 2K15 through 18, and because of that, for 2K19, they actually switched up the gameplay formula. This game still has simulation elements to it, like stamina, the Hell in a Cell restricting your movement, and the fact that you can only place weapons in certain spots, but everything else is more so similar to the arcade-style gameplay that we were used to from games like 2K14. This game really just said fuck it and let you do whatever the hell you wanted. If you wanted to superplex your opponent onto a set of ladders in the ring, nothing is stopping you from doing so. Just look at what I did to Seth Rollins in this match. I mean, I was genuinely convinced that Seth had fucking died. Outside of some of the awesome things this game let you do, the actual wrestling part of the game is really fun as well. Every move feels smooth, and the striking is nice and quick, which greatly improves the pace of matches. The chain wrestling minigame also makes an appearance here, but it feels much faster and more streamlined in this game compared to how it felt in 2K16 or any of the other games that featured it. I still stand by what I said in my 2K16 video though when I said chain wrestling is a great mechanic. It keeps matches moving and adds something for you to do in between each big moment of a match. Now, while there are some limitations in the gameplay, as I mentioned with weapons for example, there's still just enough freedom for you to do things like putting your opponent through a flaming table as well as doing crazy dives off a ladder. This game also gave you the ability to brawl around the arena, which includes the ability to go backstage in the middle of a match, which is a really awesome feature. Speaking of backstage, the backstage brawls in this game are on another level. When you're backstage, there's so many interactive elements for you to play with. A forklift, a production truck, a fucking fire extinguisher. Nothing feels like it's off limits. Hell, you can even go to catering and just start chucking shit off the tables. Of course, Extreme Rules matches are still a lot of fun, and in this game, they're probably the best they've ever been. weapons in this game hit like a fucking truck. When you hit someone with a chair, you can really feel the impact of it, which makes it all the more devastating. Now, something I really thought improved the gameplay of 2K19 a lot was the payback system. Essentially, paybacks were just little perks you could add to whatever superstar you wanted to play as. Some of the paybacks included Poison Mist, which let you spray a mist at your opponent during the match, Blackout, which let you appear behind your opponent, and even one that instantly gives you a finisher. The paybacks are obviously still around in the new games like 2K24, but back then, paybacks were a pretty big deal since they were brand new. Paybacks were just yet another reason 2K19's gameplay was as fun as it was, and I'm glad 2K kept them around for the later games. That's not all though, because there's one more thing 2K19 had that made the game even better. Big Head Mode. This is still one of the greatest features I've ever seen in a wrestling game. Now yeah, it doesn't really change the gameplay or anything, but it's dumb stuff like this that can make a game feel more fun. This is what I meant by this game leaned more into the arcade style gameplay because it took risks. It added dumb stuff like Big Head Mode and even blocky Minecraft-like models, which 2K really didn't have to add, but they added more value and fun of the game, so they did. With that being said, that's really all there is to say about the gameplay of 2K19. It goes without saying that 2K19 definitely has the best gameplay out of all the WWE2K games from the Xbox One and PS4 generation. Now that I've established just how great the gameplay is, I now want to talk about everything else this game has to offer. Now talking about the roster, I'm just gonna say it, 2K19 is one of the best rosters of all time. In the base roster, we got 2010 Batista, 1998, as well as 1991 Undertaker, Diamond Dallas Page, and 2003 John Cena, just to name a few. The roster was already stacked to begin with, but then you factor in the DLC and the roster just becomes even better. If you bought some of the DLC for this game, you get Ronda Rousey, Rey Mysterio, Roddy Piper, and even 1985 Dusty Rhodes. Unfortunately, the DLC can't be purchased anymore unless you somehow track down a brand new still sealed copy of the deluxe edition, which had the DLC included, but good luck trying to do that. All in all, the roster in this game was all around excellent. Unfortunately though, the arena selection isn't quite as impressive. Somehow this game offers less than even 2K14 did in terms of arenas, but hey, at least we got WrestleMania 33 as a playable arena. Look, the arenas featured here, while they're not horrible, just aren't enough. There's hardly any throwback arenas featured in this game. We barely got any Ruthless Aggression era arenas, and barely got any Attitude era arenas, if any at all. And even worse, the one Ruthless Aggression arena we did get was fucking Velocity. Ah yes, Velocity, everyone's favorite show from the Ruthless Aggression era. Really, when it comes to the arena selection, the lack of arenas is my only real complaint. Honestly, I feel it's very easy to make do with what's featured in this game, and if a certain arena isn't in the game, you still have that option of making one yourself, which is nice. Overall though, the roster is pretty fantastic, and the arena selection, while lacking, is fine and doesn't really bring the game down all that much. Now it's time to talk about some of the extra modes featured in this game, because this game just went all in with the extra content. This was the game that introduced 2K Towers, which was such a cool game mode. Essentially, 2K Towers would see you competing in a number of different matches and towers of different themes. There was a Legends Tower where you face legends, and even a tower where you could unlock a gold AJ Styles, which unfortunately seems to be removed from the game completely. 2K Towers was such a unique game mode, and it's definitely something I'd love to see come back. Another mode that was pretty awesome in this game was MyCareer. This is the only MyCareer I've actually fully played through in a WWE game. The MyCareer in this game had a pretty engaging and entertaining story, even featuring full voice acting, which was pretty cool. It worked like any other MyCareer where you first create a superstar to use in the mode, but instead of getting sent to the performance center and working your way up on your own, this game had its own story where you started in an indie promotion called called BCW, and from there you get scouted and find your way into WWE. In total, there's 15 chapters, and the best part is, after you finish the mode, it's infinitely replayable. If you haven't yet checked out 2K19's MyCareer, I really recommend giving it a playthrough because it's a lot of fun. The last mode I want to talk about is 2K Showcase, which this time around is focused on the career of Daniel Bryan. The showcase takes you through most of Bryan's career from his WWE debut at Velocity in 2003 to his crowning achievement of winning the world title at WrestleMania 30. While I wouldn't say it's my favorite showcase we've ever had, I still think it's better than the showcases we've been getting as of recent in the newer games. All in all, WWE2K19 is truly a phenomenal wrestling game. While I covered 99% of the great things that this game had going for it, I still left some things out which speaks volumes about how much content this game had. Some of those things include the fact that you can play as a zombie Triple H, and that this game introduced the ability for you to create your own custom Money in the Bank briefcase. Now unfortunately, 2K19 has been delisted from all digital stores, which sucks, but if you can find a physical copy of the game, I highly suggest picking it up because even in 2024, this game is still a must play. Also, 2K19 is 6 years old now. Fuck, I'm getting old.